Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. My name is Lynette. Today, the day I'm recording, it happens to be New Year's Day. So I would like to start off by wishing you all a very happy New Year's. And I hope 2026 is great for everybody. This episode expects change. I want to walk you through how the change started for me. I think in the last episode I told you about a friend of mine that I went to visit who at the time was going to a Bible study. And she asked me if I wanted to go, and I was like, for lack of something better to do, I went. And I got to say, it completely changed my life. But I want to go through that in a little more detail. I did go visit a friend that I used to live with, and we worked together in the Bay Area. However, her and I had quit our jobs and did some traveling, and then we went separate ways. After a series of events in my life, I reached what you would say rock bottom, and I felt to go visit her, so I did. And when she answered the door, she looked really good. And I said, "What have you been doing?" And she said, "Going to Bible study." And she was going to one that evening, and she said, "Would you like to go?" Well, I was like, I'm not sure. And for lack of anything to do at all, I said, "Sure, I'll go." Well, that Bible study was touching to me because I was raised in a traditional, old-fashioned church until my parents got a divorce and I didn't go to church at all. So when I went to this one, it was different than any I had ever gone to. They talked about what was happening here and now. I wasn't used to that. I was only used to the old-fashioned rituals. But one thing they did teach me, and I want to tell you how this changed my life, and I didn't expect it. They did teach that when you tithe, no matter what you tithe, no matter what offering you give, it comes back to you in 10 times. So after we did the Bible study, the man told us about a church in San Francisco that we could go to. So we did. My friend and I did go to that church. Although she had been going to a Bible study, she was not going to a church. So it was new to both of us, basically. And I happened to donate $1. Well, later on that day, and as I said, her and I both worked at a rather large hotel. And so I was taking a break, and as I was walking to the restroom, there was an ashtray with sand in it. There was a $10 bill stuck in the sand, sticking up. Now, who puts a $10 bill in an ashtray, especially sticking up? And it was the very morning I gave $1, and they taught me that you get tenfold back. And I was like, wow, this is impressive. And then it was a short time after that. Now, I used to smoke. I wasn't really focusing on quitting smoking. That wasn't what I was thinking about. But my friend and I did go to church one evening. And I went up to the altar and I was praying. And while I was praying, I heard this audible voice in my head. But while I was hearing it, I saw or felt, it was just such a spiritual experience, I'm having trouble even explaining it, a bright light come down on me, and I heard it's time to quit smoking. And I literally felt the desire leave my body. That was another exceptional thing that happened. And I can give you more, but I don't think I need to do that. However, it's not something that happens or happened every day, but it would happen from time to time. So this is one way that my experience, I would say, turning to a church, turning to a different spiritual walk. I can't say turning to God, because even when I wasn't going to church, I always said my prayers and trusted God. So, but this was different. So now the change in my life would be that I was going to church. So when I started doing that, I thought, surely I shouldn't be drinking or, I don't know, just whatever. And I became very hard on myself. So I want to talk to you about that, because I don't believe that came from God. And part of my earlier years in getting into all this, well, first of all, I've never been in a church that teaches you basically, they don't teach you to be in the present moment, but their sermons were in the present moment. And so that was interesting to me as well. But I was really hard on myself. And in doing so, it was difficult navigating friendships, because my new friends, or the girl that went to church with me and then another one started going, they were very hard on themselves as well. So they were hard on me. It was almost keeping each other in check. But it was actually too extreme. In short, I would say it was a turn off. But then my other friends that I used to go and have fun with, they didn't want to spend time with me because they said I wasn't fun anymore because I quit drinking. And so it's interesting. What I'm saying, what I'm getting at here, is that in life, there's always people pulling you different directions. It's like in politics, people say, are you red or are you blue? Maybe you're not either. Maybe you just have your own idea. Some things work for you, some things don't, on both sides. And that's how I felt with this too. I felt really, really like an alien, I guess would be alienated, because I didn't feel like I fit in with either. So that got me pretty much walking in my own direction, in my own relationship with God. And that led up to what I shared with you last week about when I spent New Year's Eve in church. And it was one of the best New Year's Eves I've ever had. So I felt like God was my friend. But these other people, although they were friends, I had to do or what they felt was right, or I suffered the consequences. There was stipulations to being their friend. And because they were both extreme on either side, it was very difficult. So that's one of the times that I learned to walk on my own and learn to keep my eyes straight ahead. I know some of this might sound strange to you, but as you start a walk in a spiritual path, you will have your own spiritual experiences. I was talking to a girl recently, and I was telling her a story, and it involved a spiritual experience. And I asked her, have you ever had one of those? And she just looked at me and said, no. And so I realized everybody may not understand, but that's okay. Because if you believe in God, you believe in supernatural things happening behind the scenes. So anyway, as I came into this Christian walk, I was harder on myself than anybody. Now I'm going to fast forward to where I'm at now. And I started to get sick and have trouble walking and all that. And as I told you before, I would have my own meltdowns. I mean, I'm a human being just like you are. And although I've learned to, for the most part, be positive, but I'm still human. And when I would have this meltdown, I gotta tell you, my language would be less than attractive. And to my surprise, I didn't feel bad about it. It was releasing my frustration. And it made me realize that God's not being hard on me. It wasn't God that said, you have to watch every word that comes out of your mouth. It was me doing it to myself. And I realized I was hurting myself. Actually, was taking a physical toll because I was being so strict with myself. Now, when I walk my day-to-day life, if I'm having a meltdown and I need to have language that may not be the most appropriate, but I say it to myself, I get the frustration out. If I want to have a glass of wine, I have a glass of wine. And with all this being said, though, if you have a weakness in any area, you should avoid it. None of these things are my weakness, so it doesn't matter. Now give me a box of See's candy and it's all over. But I don't have a problem with anything else. So if you do have an addiction to anything, that is something you need to discern. To be your best, if it's taking a toll on you, then you need to decipher what you need to do about that. So in walking in this and feeling like I was too hard on myself, then my health starting to decline. And part of that, who knows, might have been because I was so hard on myself. But now we're going to switch over to what we've been talking about. Putting one foot in front of the other, living your best life, being the best that you can be. So I think and I believe that it's everything combined. I don't think it's just religion. I don't think it's just physical. I don't think it's just mental. I don't think it's just emotional. I think it's a little bit of everything that needs a little bit of work. So your whole package comes together and you are the best that you can be physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And we have tied all that together. If you go back episode after episode, it talks about walking in your best walk, being a leader, not a follower, not being a people pleaser, but being and doing for you. In other words, loving you, because you got to realize nobody else is going to take care of you like you would take care of yourself. And you have to feel that you can depend on you. Even when you look back to the child that you were, the child needs to know that there's this adult that is protecting them. And nobody would do it for you like you would. And I also believe that you can't really be fully present for anyone else when you're not fully present for yourself. So we've talked about physically changing, making changes to live our best life. And then mentally, we've talked about ways to change negative to positive, which is a carryover to your emotional. Because the better outlook you have on things, the better you feel emotionally. Now, all this being tied into a package. And then you have your supreme being on top of it. Someone to look up to. Someone to ask for guidance or for whatever your needs may be. And that becomes a whole package. We have to be fully present and being the whole package. And it's not for anyone else. It's for yourself. It's so you can be happy, fully happy. And you can live your best life and you can be your best self. And it's so exciting to think about putting all of this together. What's even more exciting is walking with all of this together. And like I've said before, no matter how you're walking, no matter how good it gets, I believe there is always more. I believe there's a shift that we can make to always being better and better and better. And that, my friend, is so exciting. And none of this should have anything to do with impressing anybody else. This will bring out your authentic self, and you won't have the need to feel like you have to impress anybody else because you are impressive just as you are. You are being you at the best level that you can be. But in all of it, in all of the changes that we make, we need to find balance. Don't be hard on yourself. Be who you are. Be who you want to be. Be the best version of you. And don't do it for anybody else. It's about doing what you feel is right. If your intention is to always do the right thing, then you've got to trust your own decisions. And if you trust God, you've got to trust Him that if you make the wrong decision, that He will intervene. It's about putting one foot in front of the other and being your best self and living your best life. So let's make 2026 our best year yet and build on from there. With that being said, God bless you, and I will talk to you next week. Happy New Year. Bye-bye.